Elder Scrolls Online, also known as a woke dumpster fire of shit ideas.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got a ridiculous story coming out today from Elder Scrolls Online. If you guys are unaware, apparently there is a person that is going semi-viral ish right now. Nothing too crazy, but I'm sure this story is going to go wild by the time people hear about it. But apparently on Elder Scrolls Online, they have just recently given a 72-hour ban to a player for teabagging. Yes, I'm not kidding. This game that is struggling to have players right now is deciding to ban some of their players for teabagging. And apparently, this is
I mean, what did you expect from a game that makes an update to add a new companion that literally first thing does tells you that they're non-binary? Because keep in mind, non-binary is the most hilarious concept of wokeism. Because non-binary is effectively saying you're special in all the wrong ways, but you don't actually have to give up anything. Non-binary means that you don't need to be gay. You don't need to do anything. You're just non-binary. And the only way that people are going to know that you're non-binary is if you explicitly shove it in their face. Because you, if you're non-binary, there's no way to tell. Nothing about you changes. You don't have to do anything. It's the cheapest wokeness that you can actually get. And it's hilarious. And they added a companion. Specifically with the intent of shoving in your face, I'm gay. I mean, I'm non-binary. Yeah, that's some hilarious shit. And by the way, Elder Scrolls Online also is trying to canonize the idea that the Elder Scrolls universe gods are all trans. Not even joking. That's legitimately what they're trying to do. They are trying to push the idea that the Daedra and the Aedra are all trans or whatever.
has been an issue for years in the Elder Scrolls Online community because I have a thread from 4 years ago talking about damn near the same exact thing. But this person posted this screenshot of the ban message that he got, and I figured, hell, let's talk about it. Of course, before we do, if you are new, algorithm. Now, I played Elder Scrolls Online when it first came out, and I thought it was a pretty fun game overall.
I wanted to play, then I looked at it and I was like, so you have only 4 or 5 buttons to press? That seems fucking too little. Damn.
But it just didn't have the I guess the longevity that a lot of certain MMOs have these days, and I decided to quit ages ago. So I haven't been back to Elder Scrolls Online in a long time. But I gotta tell you, this game apparently is struggling to maintain players. I don't know how popular it is. I don't know if it's overall player base, but as the Steam forums seem to suggest, it seems to be a dead MMO. I have
We looked at it. What the hell do you mean? We actually looked at it. It was doing fine, to be honest. It's not the greatest game, and it's never gonna really be relevant, but player-wise, Elder Scrolls Online is doing fine. Let me check. Online Steam DB. Check. Well, there's a slight. Oh, nah, there's no real slight drop off. It's actually growing in the past month. Yeah, well, it's not really growing or anything like that per se. Really, it just has points where it's more played and less played and whatnot. But could yeah. I guess in general it's on a decline and now it's in an upward trajectory, but it's not dying. 20k 24-hour peak. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Again, this game is not even close to dying. But again, this game will never have cultural relevance. That is the biggest issue, I guess, here. Because Elder Scrolls Online is unique in the sense that people play it in the same vein that they play Fallout 76. They want something Fallout slash Elder Scrolls, but there's literally nothing but these things that get updated time to time. So, all the super mega fans that are, by the way, completely disillusioned. Like Fallout 76 fans are insane and complete. They will never say that Fallout 76 is bad. But the Elder Scrolls fans, they're gonna be like, yeah, the game's pretty bad. The monetization is predatory as fuck. It looks outdated. It feels bad in a lot of aspects, and it completely does not value your time in the slightest. But I want to play something Elder Scrolls, and this is all that we have. And they're going to be completely fine with saying, yeah, the game's not that great, but hey, I'm bored and this is what I want to play while I'm bored. It is what it is.
Multiple forum posts from different people over at the Steam forum showcasing that this game is pretty much dead for the most part in the grand scheme of things compared to other MMOs. So I wonder why you would run around and be policing people so damn hard to the point where you're banning them for teabagging. But let's see what this guy has to say. So this account called Pain in the Axe, which is hilarious by the way, says they got a 72-hour ban in the Elder Scrolls Online for bagging. And obviously it's called bagging, but they're referencing teabagging. Honestly, this is such a pathetic rule. This honestly feels like the result of a mass report, which it probably is, to be fair, because that's usually what happens with these things. These stupid rules that are so vague usually get
I would not be surprised if the moderation and the tickets were actually handled by some kind of woke purple haired lunatic.
abused by people that want to utilize these rules, knowing that they're vague and knowing they can weaponize it against people. So chances are it was in fact a mass report. But regardless of that, I only dish out reciprocal bags, which is hilarious, to those who did it first, or if
What
I'm
a
just memeing
concept.
around with friends. On top of that, they are supposed to ask you to stop, and continuing from there would result in your account being actioned, which did not happen. We'll source dev post below if and when I receive such a message.
You're supposed to ask them to stop, and then it's only a ban if they don't. Dude, this has the D&D safe space X hand gesture vibes, okay?
I always complied. Would have laughed, of course, but wouldn't have been a problem to do. Even equating teabagging to physical harassment is wild. Really
Damn
great
right.
way to water down what real world physical harassment looks like and is disingenuous. Yes,
You know what's physical harassment, actually? That this one girl's ass is not on my face currently. That is true harassment. That is true pain. Okay? That is a level of unforgivable godly unfairness that the world has. No one should ever suffer, okay? Her ass should be exactly here. But it's not currently.
you guys heard that right. They're trying to equate online teabagging to
I would spread the cheeks. There would be a little bit of that ass dust coming out, and it would be amazing.
real world physical harassment. That is the level of soft we have gotten to as a society, where they want to police the internet so bad and try to make it seem as if teabagging someone online is physically harassing them in real life. It is disgusting, to be honest with you, but this is where we're at. And it's not very shocking that this game is bleeding players. Then it says that more often than not, this rule gets used to weaponize the report system, exactly what I said, against others where the victim is actually the one instigating the behavior by doing the exact thing that they are reporting you for. Why do we have a rule to empower these bad actors? So if you look here, there's the report here. They have the reference number, the date that it was created, and then it says the Elder Scrolls Online team response on 5/02/2025. Here's what they said. Greetings.
By the way, the fact that you can see that this is an outdated looking message box also is kind of wild.
This account is receiving a 72-hour suspension and final warning due to violating the code of conduct. We cannot allow teabagging slash physical harassment as is in direct violation of the following sections of our code of conduct. How is teabagging physical harassment? I really want them to explain this to me. I don't think they can. I think they just put everything together and hope that it sticks. But how the hell are you going to claim that teabagging is physical harassment? That is
Well, you see, it starts mental, but with these people, it's gonna 41% physical real fast.
literally an impossibility. There is no physical anything happening at the point in time. If you want to call it digital harassment, fine, we can have that conversation. But you calling it physical harassment is just ruining the actual definition of physical harassment. And like this post said, you're watering down what actual real physical harassment is compared to what it's not. So anyway, this post was made, right? And it's funny because Pain in the Axe mentioned something that caught me curious. He said that on top of that, they're supposed to ask you to stop, and continuing from there will result in your action for your account. So then I thought about this. I'm saying, well, where did he get that from? Why would he think that? Why do you think that you have to ask to stop before anything could happen? Well, I looked it up, and this is a thread from August of 2020 2. So this is a while ago, okay? This is about 3 years ago. And it says, what are the rules regarding teabag?
Wait, is this because of Microsoft? Because they did a rule about this in Halo or something like that. I think, or maybe I'm tweaking. I don't know.
I think the last update was about teabagging, and spamming emotes is fine, though if you ask someone to please stop, you should stop. Also, does a teabag E have to report this? Or can anyone report it? If me and my friends are fine with teabagging each other, can someone else take a screenshot of it and report it? So this is a question that was asked in 2022. So it's very clear that this has been a problem in Elder Scrolls Online for at least 3 years minimum, but I'm sure it's been more than that. This game, apparently, they have a big issue with teabagging. They have a big rule against it. But the official rule is exactly as this person stated, ELO 106, which is the person who is reporting is allowed to ask the person who is teabagging to stop. And the person who is teabagging cannot be reported unless they continue to teabag after being told to stop. That is
Damn,
apparently where you are allowed to report them for physical harassment. That's the distinction that Elder Scrolls
insane.
Online has decided to go with in terms of reporting someone for harassment. So you cannot get reported if you're just friends messing around, teabagging each other, whatever the case may be. But if you go teabag someone else and that person tells you to stop and you don't stop, then they can report you and get your account banned. That's how ridiculous this is. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, over on the Steam forums, which I have a couple of Steam forums here, there are people saying that this game is dead, right? And granted, could be trolls, right? It could absolutely be trolls. But
Now, by the way, granted, how many bots do I think exist in this game? Probably 50% or more from the 20k average players. It's really hard to tell, but there are bots.
there is a lot of threads saying the exact same thing, that the game is dead, or they're looking for people to play with, or they can't find anyone to play with. This person says dead MMO. I've legitimately never played an MMO more dead than Elder Scrolls Online. Queue times are beyond outrageous, even for healers and tanks, and the entire game is so illy constructed, not to mention how heavily monetized it has become. This person says, yeah, you're only about 10 years too late, which again, the game is
Based, absolutely based.
very old, not as old as some other games like World of Warcraft.
It's old as dirt, and it shows. World of Warcraft at least has Season of Discovery and stuff. Retail's though dying, but honestly, who cares? Anyway, that was Hypnotic. 10 out of 10. Bye.